to Blue Jays today. Not a planned episode here or live stream at all, everybody. Adam and I were having a nice Saturday, doing our thing, and then all of a sudden on X, on Twitter, I mean, the reports about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. are just kind of going insane right now. There is a lot of smoke. We've been down this road before, but it does feel like maybe something's different this time around, because why is all of these reports coming out of effectively thin air at this point of the season? We're going to break down what it is that people are talking about right now, where this is coming from. Is a deal going to get done this weekend, or are we just going to get blue-balled again? Because obviously we have been blue-balled many a time, folks. But welcome in. I hope that your weekend is going well right now. Also, too, hope that it's a little bit of a better game today than it was yesterday. That was a tough watch, dude. Making it through all 9 innings of that one.
Some primetime game tonight will hopefully be better. You got Chris Bass, I believe, on the mound, so hopefully the Hound Dog can do some work. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr., yeah, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, BC, Nux, Blake, Faith. I love that name for this kind of moment right here, because we're going to need a lot of faith to believe in all this stuff again. It's the same kind of group of people that are coming out and talking about it. Maybe now there's a couple new faces in the mix that are throwing their 2 cents in, that, you know, are claiming that they know what is about to happen. So without further ado, well, let's walk you through all, I guess, the timeline of all these tweets, and then kind of as we go along, give our 2 cents, give our thoughts, and you give your thoughts as well in the comments down below. So first things first, this happened during the game while we were watching yesterday at 3 o'clock against the New York Mets. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the extension talks started to begin with Mike Rodriguez, and he came out and he tweeted this. He said, "Breaking news. According to my sources, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays are very close to an extension agreement of more than $500 million. And that came out. My first reaction was, it's Mike Rodriguez again. He's doing it. He said this probably 2 weeks ago. He said this 2 weeks before that. He said that for a month before that. He said that when they were about to sign when they were going to sign the extension on the deadline. He kept hammering it home that a deal was going to get done. But then, of course, nothing got done. So that was my reaction to that one right there. Yeah,
now I will correct you just a little bit, because I feel like we have to go back even a little bit further here on April 3rd. I mean, again, there's been so many of these things. You got that report from Heyman, which was where you know, that we believe that a deal is going to get done eventually. And it's like, okay, we talked about that with Scott, and it was like, all right. Well, great. Where's this coming from?
But also, Mike has been saying that during spring training too. He's also been tweeting. That's what I'm referring to, right? And so, yeah, you also had one about John Heyman. Then that, again, that led to nothing, right? And then a week went by, and here we are. But then, I guess it was April 3rd, you said. That's when John... That was earlier this week.
Yeah, it was earlier this week where Heyman had that, like, little tidbit in his thing, which is like, okay, the kind of prevailing belief right now is that a deal is going to get done with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays for around the $500 million mark. We talked about that with Scott from the Walk-Off podcast. Shout out to him. And effectively, we're all saying, okay, like, great, that's cool. That feels like the middle ground that they should reach. Why is this coming out now? Is this news? Is this old stuff? And it was like, okay, that was the one thing that we heard. And then, yeah, like 24 hours later, you get the Rodriguez thing. And then you get this from Hector Gomez, right? Following this, he jumps into the mix. Now, I want to be very clear. Earlier in the offseason, I guess we're not in the offseason anymore, but, you know, around January, Hector Gomez, he was, like, right up in my good books. You know, I was loving everything that he was doing because he was right about a lot of things. Then he took a lot more shots than he probably should have, ended up being wrong several times, and he just... This is like quadrupling down for him on the Guerrero extension.
Because he actually was quote tweeting what he said back in March 17th when we were both kind of like, all right, Hector, like, you know, let's chill a little bit. Right here, he's quote tweeting the whole thing where he was saying, source, the Blue Jays are planning to make a new offer, which is closer to what he's looking for. And then he quote tweets it after all this comes out about Mike Rodriguez saying, according to a person... Who the hell is this person? Close to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the Blue Jays could make the official announcement of the extension this weekend. So if it doesn't happen this weekend, we can start to really look at Hector Gomez and go, dude, you got to stop.
Well, at that point, point, I genuinely think, and I even saw a couple people on Twitter saying it's like getting dangerously close to blocking Hector Gomez.
Oh, I know.
On Twitter.
No, seriously.
Like, if this weekend goes by and like we don't hear, and here's the thing, if Hector comes out tomorrow and is like, oh, sorry guys, my source actually, went back on this.
I don't trust your source.
That's the thing. I clearly don't trust you anymore, but especially if this whole weekend goes by, nothing happens, and Hector doesn't say anything at all.
I know.
At that point, it's like, all right, your word means nothing.
And then you already know that 2 weeks later, when this sparks up again, he's going to quote tweet this and being like, source close to me said that now it's happening this weekend, or now this is developed and changed. So yeah, like that's what he came out and said. So
also,
now we have to go and wait and see.
Jid coming in here and just saying, shout out, by the way, to the 205 people that are in here, guys. You guys are all legends. But Jid saying, according to a person, I'm married to Dua Lipa. The person is
who's
me.
Person?
The person is me, and she put a restraining order on me months ago. So
there you go.
Again, just goes to show, right? Like, you can really say anything in the way that you word it. Like, this all matters to all of this. However, just another person coming in here, throwing their 2 cents into this thing, adding smoke to this fire that is now increasingly growing with Heyman, with Mike Rodriguez, then with Hector Gomez, and then with this guy right here. Now, I wasn't super familiar with Janssen Pujols. I hope that that's how you pronounce your name. But you looked a little familiar, and that's because just a little while ago, this guy actually had an interview with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at the Blue Jays spring training facility. In this interview, there was that viral clip that went where it was like, they were talking about free agency and where Guerrero would be willing to go to, and then Vladdy kind of chimed in, and it's like, even the Yankees I'd be okay with a lot of people kind of, pissed us off.
I was going to say, like, that was already, like, look, you're talking about the Yankees in front of the Blue Jays logo. That's disrespectful. But, yeah, I mean, like, so this guy's obviously close to him.
Knows Vladdy enough to get an interview.
And reputable to be able to go there to Dunedin and sit down on the practice field and do this. And he comes out here and says, people close to the situation are telling me this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays have made a lot of progress towards a $500 million deal. Now, that's obviously very different than saying the deal is he's saying it's very close, and then he's saying the announcement's going to happen this weekend. So, it's very different. Progress and then getting it done this weekend is very different, right? Progress could be, I could be done by October. I'm still making progress because it's a long progress, or this weekend, right? So take that with a grain of salt.
He does then go on to say, announcement could be done soon. Looks like Vladdy Jr. is staying in Toronto long term. That's like the biggest, like, you're putting your flag in the
exactly
in the hill here.
And that's again another thing. Soon, how long is soon? We've heard that before too. Like that's another vague statement. But if you're gonna take what Hector Gomez says and piece it all together and play detective and think that it's gonna happen this weekend, then I guess that's when soon is gonna be. So yeah, it looks like Vladdy Jr. staying long term, 14 years. Now let's open it up to a little bit of discussion. That's kind of, I guess before we open discussion, we got one more Mike Rodriguez thing right here, just kind of doubling down, quote tweeting what he said yesterday. This was about an hour ago, saying, like I said yesterday, the deal's almost closed, and I hear there will be no deferred money. So let's open up to discussion. I already see the comments in the chat. People are split. People are saying they hope it's going to happen. People are saying he's wrong. They're always wrong. Where are you right now in terms of a temperature check, and how much you believe in this and how much do you not?
So listen, guys, we've been blue-balled quite a lot of times here on Blue Jays today. Just Blue Jays fans in general, man. I mean, I feel like this entire fan base is now almost synonymous with making it so close to the finish line, being told that you're going to cross it, and then never actually ending up doing that. So I have to approach all of this with cautious optimism, because I do obviously want Vladdy to be here long-term. I guess I look at this and I wonder, why now, right? When these reports were coming out, when his deadline was there, okay, you could argue that there's some competitive advantage to revealing these reports, whether you be on the Toronto Blue Jays side or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. side, because the deadline for his quote-unquote extension is arriving, and maybe he's trying to up his price tag, or maybe they're trying to lower it, what have you. But now we're in the middle of the season. We are, 8 games deep at this point. We're 5-3. Vladdy's off to a kind of a middling start. And there is no deadline anymore. We're kind of all expecting that he's going to hit free agency. So for me, I just wonder, because there's no, I guess, in my opinion, competitive advantage to leak this information, I don't really see any side trying to play one another. That is instilling me with a little bit more confidence than potentially previously when we heard about this stuff.
Now, it was always in my mind that Vladdy was going to hit free agency because he wanted to go test the market, right? And the only thing that would stop him is that if the Blue Jays gave him exactly what he wants. So unless the Blue Jays, he's been slowly kind of working the Blue Jays to be like, all right, like fine, we'll finally come up and meet your offer. Then it doesn't make, then I don't believe it, right? Because if he wants to go get that certain dollar amount, just go to hit free agency, hope you have a good year, and then you'll go get it, right? That's always been the plan. Even like Joe, like I think about back to Joe Sittle, like that's always been the plan. You know, if you wanted to go get that dollar amount, unless they're giving it to you, right? And I always thought the dollar amount should be the low $500 million or $500 million mark. So if they are what these guys are all saying, they're hitting that, then I guess you'll take it and mitigate your risk.
Well, and I do also, like, I wonder as well, and Scott brought this up when we had him on a couple days ago, and I think it's just a great overall talking point. The overall, I guess, vibe check of Blue Jays fans towards Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been shifting a little bit. Now, every time that this guy has, makes a bad play at the dish, swings at something he shouldn't, the first thing that you see on Twitter, right? Somebody is tweeting out there, that doesn't look like $600 million. We don't need you. Like, hit free agency, guy, and walk away. And it does feel like the overall just, I guess, temperament of the fan base towards Vladdy, our patience is very thin. So I do wonder, has that got anything to do with it? Because Scott brought up, it's like, well, maybe Guerrero's camp is looking at this and going, dude, like, public opinion's turning on you a little bit. Like, is that $50 million really that important to you? Or do you want to have this whole country backing you?
Potentially. And I would probably say the negotiation tactic of him setting his bar super high, kind of getting the Blue Jays to like creep up a little bit, and then him be like, actually, that was my actual goal, is to get you at this mark, and bam, I'm gonna smash it. I'd probably lean a little bit more that way, but I mean, maybe. I mean, again, we've been talking about on this channel for a long time to mitigate the risk, right? Like, he's off to a slow start. He had a decent game actually yesterday, but if he gets hurt, or if he's off to a slow start, or if he's feeling like he's playing under pressure, maybe that plays a little bit factor into it. But I mean, actually, there was a quote right here by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Apparently, he's just focused on baseball right now, saying in Spanish, when asked about the whole contract stuff yesterday after the game, saying, well, until now, I don't know anything. I've always tried to talk to my agent, always left that to my agent. I focus on playing. Until now, I don't know what you're talking about. So there actually could be a factor. I mean, players do this all the time. Actually, speaking of the Arizona Cardinals, just heard about my boy, Trey McBride, getting extended. He actually didn't know he was getting the contract signed until he was playing golf. Yeah. Like, his agent told him. So obviously they talked to him saying, hey, I wanted this. If you can get that done, let's do it. And then they go and negotiate. So maybe he doesn't know what's going on.
I actually wouldn't be surprised. Like, I know a lot of people saw this, and there was actually a lot of different responses on Twitter. There were some people saying, like, oh my God, like, clearly it's not happening then. Vlad doesn't know. But then there was also a large group of people that I tend to side with saying, well, what else is the guy gonna say? It's like, you're not gonna, if you're Vladdy right now, even if you did know that an extension was potentially close, you probably don't say that because again, like,
and also probably this guy just came out of a baseball game for 4 hours. He just came out of a
baseball game,
so
you don't know what's going on. He's been focusing on trying to make it through what was a horrendous 9 innings yesterday, like, let alone thinking about the 500 or 550 or whatever, right? So I could totally believe that talks are getting a lot closer between his agent and between the Toronto Blue Jays representatives, whoever they may be that are dealing with this, Ross Atkins or whoever they have allotted to this. I could imagine that those conversations are ramping up. Maybe Guerrero isn't fully in on it right now. Maybe that's where they came from. So, I mean, for me, like, I don't know. I'm feeling honestly a little bit more confident about this than I was previously. All things considered,
I have scabs inside my feelings, inside my heart, and I'm feeling like they're getting poked right now because they wanna play with me. Like, they're poking that sensitive spot for me. So for me, I'm defensive. I feel the feelings I'm feeling right now are because of being hurt in the past with just in the last like 2 or 3 months with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and this whole extension conversation. So for me, like, I get it. I want to buy into it, but I've kind of hit the point where a lot of you guys, and I've seen a lot of our comments saying, like, I won't believe it until I see it.
Right.
I'm not going to let and when I do, I'm going to be the happiest person in the effing world. This is what we wanted. I don't care how bad of a start, quote unquote, he's gone off to in the first 8 games of the season. I don't care. I don't care if he strikes out and whatever and swings at balls in the dirt. If you lock down Vladdy, I know this for certain. Vladdy is going to change the face of your team, and that's who I want on my team for the next 14, 15 years. Get it done, and I'll be happy when it's actually done.
Well,
when Jeff Passan tweets it out.
Yeah, of course. And Jeff Passan is obviously, you know, like baseball Jesus when it comes to, you know, like he's effectively the word of God. You know, like this guy will come out, and when he says it, it's getting done. Now, you did bring up that he's off to a slow start. Can we bring up his numbers very quickly? Because I do see a lot of people in the chat as well. By the way, shout out to the 261 people that are joining us on this Saturday afternoon. I hope that your weekend is going well, everybody. If this does actually happen this weekend, like, holy, it is going to be one hell of a time. But shout out to all you guys. We got a couple people in there just saying it's like, we don't want Vladdy here long term. Courtesy Flush saying some of us G's don't want Vladdy here. Ship him out of here. Now, he is off to a slow start, 267 batting average. The guy's got a 710 OPS. Yesterday had a relatively good day. I think he reached base 3 times. Yeah, 2 hits, 1 walk. You know, so again, maybe is that the beginning of something? I personally don't put almost any weight at all on these 8 hits because, you know, I mean, like, let's face it, right? George Springer's off to a meteoric start right now. Is Springer going to have a better year than Guerrero?
No.
Probably not, man. I would find that very, very hard to believe. So I'm sure that Vladdy will turn it around. I certainly want him here. Do I want him here for $600 million? You know, that's where the line definitely is. But for $500 million, that always felt like the nice, sweet spot for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I see Brock Ford saying kind of embarrassing how there's a beer in your hand on 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday.
Kind of embarrassing that you wrote
Saturday,
the wrong
by the way.
day, big guy.
It's Saturday, my man.
Saturday.
And also, little sidebar, it's me and my girlfriend's anniversary, and we're about to go hit up a beautiful Mexican restaurant. So I was planning to have this beer anyways, but then Vladdy came out, and I'm bringing my entertainment to you. So sorry for bringing you the entertainment in the stream while having a beer. My apologies.
But
everyone.
also, W's in the chat for the donation.
But thank you for the
donut.
donut.
You kind of just paid for the beer right there.
Yeah,
man.
there you go.
Respect.
But anyone talking about like they don't want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the arguments have been like, oh, he doesn't run out the base pass. He doesn't, he plays first base. That's not really a prime position. Oh yeah, that thing's playing right now. Dude, I tried to get rid of it and I gotta reset the program. More technology issues. But anyways, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has changed his organization around for the better. I mean, before Vladimir Guerrero Jr., what were we, right? We were a losing ball team. We sold the whole entire team. We traded for prospects. And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. comes and turns his team around, and he provides entertainment. He provides a star, a cornerstone to his team, and he also provides insurance to your team that you'll always have a base floor for the next 5 to 10 years, at least if he's competitive. And then he provides free agents to come over here into Toronto. If you don't have Vladdy, what is your team in the next 5 years? You need to get him back.
Also, too, I just realized, like, we're so stupid. Brock Ford was saying kind of embarrassing how there's no beer in your hand.
Oh.
And actually, you would be incorrect about that, Brock.
No, fellas. There's no beer.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, yeah. Brock, we take everything
that's my
back.
bad.
Everything back, Brock.
Listen, Brock, I've had a rough day today.
Listen, you're you are the man, and actually, Adam does have a beer.
I do have a beer in my hand.
Right.
I thought it's, like, listen, my patience has run so thin today. Like, total sidebar, dealing with a bunch of tech issues. My computer's crashing. I got a bunch of auditions I got to do. You know, it's mostly my anniversary day. And then to hear, I thought I interpreted that as like, there's no beer in your hand. Yes, there is. Yes, there is a beer in my hand, Brock.
Dude, Brock's just looking out for you right now.
I know, right?
Brock's out here just looking at, dude. Shout out, thank you to Brock, man. W's in the chat, dude. Apologies for that. Yeah, Jid saying Brock from the top rope.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we misread that one, dude. You're the best, bro.
Brock.
I mean, we don't want to be on here for too much longer because, again, like, this is one of those things where I feel like you can just kind of talk yourself into a circle of, you know, going over the same thing over and over and over again. For me, I still come back to the fact, like, where there is smoke, there is fire. Now, up until this point, there's always been a motive, a reason, something as to why you might want to reveal this information. We've seen it happen with, I mean, Scott Boras has done it to us so many goddamn times with various free agents. And when that Guerrero deadline was coming up, there were arguments as to why there may be somebody leaking this information or something like that. I just don't see the argument or the reason, the competitive advantage to leak that information now. And therefore, because there is so much smoke right now, even though it is coming from the Mike Rodriguez's and the Hector Gomez's and various others, I think that there's something there.
No, and I hear what you're saying. I do agree. And I'm just looking at the other side of things. You know, what if it's just another clickbait media grab thing? Because they know it's the top story of the year. We need a headline. What do you got on Vladdy?
Yeah.
Like they're working towards something. Can we get this up and spin this into an exciting thing? Because we know Jays fans are gonna click. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like that's where the pessimistic side of me kind of comes in, and it's like that's where I can really point out and go, this isn't true because of that.
You know, the one thing that I will say though is that whole like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. like this is my deadline. I'm not gonna like nothing's happening after this. I think we can both say that that's kind of bullshit.
It was a negotiation tactic to get them to drive it up quick.
Yeah.
Like I think he wanted to get it done, and let's play it from his perspective. If he wanted that certain number, let's say that a certain number was $500 million and no deferrals, right? Boom, I'll take that in a heartbeat, which he should. Let's all be realistic. That's a nice payday for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
Who's had 2 good seasons, like, well, not good seasons, great seasons. He had 2 great seasons.
Yes.
If I'm thinking, oh shit, the Blue Jays only offer me $250, $300 to begin the offseason. Like that's kind of where they were at. Okay, well that's a lot of work to get them to go from that number to double it.
Right.
That's a lot of work. So we got to play it up. I got to go really high. I got to set a deadline or else I'm hitting free agency. You got to put all these things in the Blue Jays front office mind that like is going to get them a little bit panicked to speed up their offer a little bit quicker. Because I mean, if I'm Vladdy too, let's be realistic. I mean, we're all saying like, oh, I'd smash that deal too. He probably wants to smash a deal as soon as possible. But he wants to mitigate the risk, and he wants to make sure he locks it down so that, like, if he does hit free agency, he's not like counting himself short. You know what I mean?
And that's super fair. I mean, you don't want to be that guy that signs the deal that everyone's looking at you and going, what an idiot.
What an idiot.
Like we do to Ronald Acuna Jr. all the time. Even though he's injured right now, it still feels like an amazing deal. Because it's Ronald Acuna Jr. And when he's on the field, he is a top 5 baseball player in all of MLB. I think that negotiations are clearly going well. I do think that there's something there. And I think that at the very least, this has opened the door for me that maybe Guerrero is going to sign an extension mid-season. Because before, when we were kind of approaching the year and, he had that whole deadline, the talk was he's going to hit free agency after that date is done. Now, though, like with everything that's coming out, and especially, too, I know it's been Rodriguez and Heyman and everything like that. With John Heyman coming out and saying it, and the belief being that this is what's going to happen, it feels good.
Heyman's been, not to discredit these guys, but I mean, Mike Rodriguez was wrong about Pete Alonso and the Blue Jays, so like that's where I kind of put some shame on there. And then Hector's been wrong about a lot of things as we've been talking about.
Hector's just been going after.
Fired. I mean, and I want to believe him because he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Here's the thing: if Vladdy actually does extend. Like, if he does extend this season, clearly I imagine what was going on with Hector was that his source was telling him that it's close, it's close.
Let's again view from that source's perspective. What if the whole game plan from that source's perspective and knowing what's going on in the camp is like, yeah, we do want to sign. We do, but we got to, like, play it up a little bit. We got to, like, let this go on, and we got to, like, build the tension, and we got to get the Blue Jays higher. So we're going to sign, but not until they hit that number. Like, what if it's, like, from that perspective?
Maybe, man. I guess for me, it's just, like, I feel like at this point, I think the Jays have done everything that they're going to do. And I think that now it's time for Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s camp to give a little bit, right? Maybe they feel differently. Maybe they still feel like there's money left there that they can kind of squeeze out. And potentially that's what this is. I don't really think so. I think that, like, at this point, the competitive advantage to be leaking this shit is kind of over because, I mean, it's like Guerrero's literally coming out and being like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know. Well, as of right now, I'm feeling good. Fingers crossed the deal does get done in the next 48 hours because that would obviously be fucking hype and that would change the entire. And that's the thing too, right? We're coming at this from such a pessimistic, cynical standpoint. Like, we just want to get it done. From a fan standpoint, the second that it does get done, if it gets done, like,
dude, the same thing what will happen, not the same thing, but similar. The pressure will leave Vladdy's shoulders, okay? There'll be off. There's no pressure. You can go play ball and have fun. Same thing with us here on Blue Jays Today.
Right.
We don't have to worry anymore about going into tank. We can actually watch a competitive team. And same with you guys. You can feel good knowing that the team will always try to be competitive for the next 14 years as long as Vladdy's good.
Like, that for me is the most important thing. Even if you sign the deal and Vladdy's, like, kind of mid. You've made such a big financial investment into him and being here long term that investment alone is going to drive you to continue
Right.
to try to be better
And
to make that investment worthwhile.
And all I've ever wanted, even from the beginning of, Vladdy coming up and Bichette coming up, and I guess I got to throw him in here too, but Kevin Biggio coming
Right.
up, was I wanted a dynasty. Because for years, my goodness, everyone knows this, for years, the Blue Jays never had a dynasty.
No, you got the little taste in 2015, 2016, and then it was poof,
And here's
gone.
the thing, the reason that wasn't a dynasty is no homegrown talent. You had Stroman. That was basically Kevin Pillar. Like, that's it. That's all you had. Ryan Goins. That's all you had. Everyone else was traded for, bought, and their contracts all expired. This is the first time, maybe other than 87 to 93, where you kind of have a nice window. I want that window to grow even more.
Totally, man. Now, a good point here before we sign off. Talon Pottle, W's in the chat for the $5 dono. They're saying, I don't know if it's going to happen in New York. Feels a little bit like Vladdy would not sign in a day where he's playing on the road. I think an off day or home. Potentially a little bit of a factor there. However, I mean, they can always just have their presser when they get back. I don't know. Like, if the deal is actually there and the money is on the table, I mean, I don't know if they're gonna be like, yeah, actually, we're not gonna sign this until we get back home.
Yeah.
Like, I think that you take your $500 million and you run to the fucking bank.
I think they do this. He signs, and then they have an official presser if they really wanted to when he gets back.
Right.
They make it official, and then they talk about it later. And also, I did want to shout out Jesse because he made a lot of comments here saying front office needs to get it done ASAP. If he goes to free agency, he will most likely walk. Look at his relationship with Latin players, Most teams in baseball will take him. If he signs, he can settle in and lock in. If he signs, he will have a pressure off his shoulders, like I was saying, and can ball out. The new hitting coach allows the guys to go up and have an at-bats and have confidence instead of waiting for their AB to be over. And that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, get it done. We're not worried. You're not worried. Let's go play baseball. And it's not the last dance anymore.
Exactly.
It's now half the last dance.
Sure.
And that's another thing too. We talked about with Scott. Maybe boom considers re-signing.
It's not impossible, right? It's not impossible that Bo Bichette could potentially come back on this team, especially depending on the year that he has. Either way, though, a Guerrero extension means that competitive baseball is not leaving us next year. And for me, as a fan, that is very important. But folks, thank you so much for joining into this kind of surprise live stream. So much going on right now on Twitter that we had to come on here and talk about it. Hopefully he signs soon, everybody, and we can just put this shit behind us and we do not have to talk about it anymore.
And if he signs, we'll be live as quick as possible. If he signs between the hours of 4:30 and 7, it'll be Nick here, and I'll come back and we'll do a little celebratory. We still got that Vladdy bottle, don't we?
That's yeah. We still got the Vladdy bottle,
like Vladdy bottle.
Ready to go. It is waiting. If we go this whole season without drinking it, I will be a very sad individual.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, guys,
Go Jays, go!